Hello, my name is Jeff Mailman, and I'm running for City Council District 4 as well. The first part of your question is, what can you do to be good neighbors? I think you are good neighbors already. I think this community treasures the local businesses, and that's why you're looking so hard to find space so that you can stay. Oh, is it off?
Point it at your mouth.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, okay. Well, I hope you heard that first part. And in terms of complaints, noise complaints, that's the #1 constituent issue. I don't hear it emanating from lit, so we're fine. In terms of what the city council can do to support independent theater and arts, well, I think that we should look into, like SBS has tons of programs to help manufacturers. There's special zones, financing, there are people to help small manufacturers find staff to hire and to expand. And I would want to explore to see if SBS is providing those type of services to the cultural groups and to theaters. I think that's a big step that we can take. And in terms of finding space, as you said, that's your #1 priority, so that would be my #1 priority. I think I would look to partner with cultural institutions in the district and throughout the city, and perhaps in exchange for investing in capital improvements that the schools desperately need, we can maybe work out a shared space arrangement. This is just one option that I would look to explore.
Raise your hands if you are willing to be a co-sponsor to Ben Kalis' City Spaces initiative to create searchable database of unused or underutilized city-owned spaces. Thank you very much. Okay. Raise your hands if you will clearly and visibly list your stances on issues facing indie theater and performing arts on your campaign's website and literature. Raise your hands if you support expanding the theater sub-district fund to include arts organizations with budgets below $250,000 a year. You support the promotion of indie theater to the more than 61 million visitors coming to New York City every year. You can commit to working with the League to create new non-traditional spaces suitable for indie theater performances in your district. You support campaign finance reform and getting money from PACs, super PACs, or special interests out of political campaigns at all levels. You support New Yorkers for Culture and Arts request to increase the funding by $40 million in the city's budget. Our second topic for this panel. Yes.
I was the only one who didn't raise my hand about the union and PAC question, so I just want to say just briefly, I'm participating in the city's matching funds program, so what it does is it places caps. It doesn't say you can't take from unions or PACs, but it places caps, and it's a world-renowned program, the best in the country, and so that's why I didn't raise my hand to that question.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
In District 4, I think that the best opportunity to create cultural space, and I think when any big development is proposed, that cultural space should be one of the elements that's evaluated in addition to schools. So if you're going to cite X number of residents, 500 or so, you look at the impact on schools. I think cultural space in our district as well, senior space, and I think it was Mary who mentioned it's a perfect partnership. It could be senior space and cultural space. And I think it's through those developments and as they arise in this district, and if they go through the ULURP process or so, I think that negotiating with the developers and taking input from the community boards to see exactly what's needed and to see what can be worked out. Just like public spaces are often negotiated with the One Vanderbilt, the tower to be built right across the street from Grand Central. Dan Garodnick set a great precedent, and before that building can be occupied, the developer's making $220 million of improvements to Grand Central Station. And so I think that that model, that framework, is one to be followed going forward. And I think that it's through those types of developments that we'll get tangible results and see more space created. And I do know that if the council member is on board and truly values cultural space, then and a project, and you want to see a project go through, that if it's of importance to the council member, it's likely to happen. And so I think that that's the best approach. And just like with these developments like firehouses, more city services other than schools need to be incorporated into that process. I want to thank you all for having me here tonight. Just some personal background. I grew up going to public schools and was fortunate enough to always have access to auditoriums and participate in plays in the school band and really perform in some great venues. And so, and I grew up going to theater, and so I so appreciate it, and it adds so much to life, and some of my fondest memories are watching shows with my family. And so as a council member, I would certainly want to look to preserve space. The fact that we're in this theater, it's such a cool place. I don't want to see this theater or any other like this close. And also funding, what Controller Stringer mentioned earlier, that bill that the report that he issued about arts education and then all the funding that ensued. I helped to draft a bill with Councilmember Crowley to do the same thing for physical education and public skills. We had a transparency bill, and then tens of millions flowed in to bring schools up to speed in terms of gym. And so arts, gym, these are all elements for a sound education.